Check something off our strategic planning list.
Hooray! Yes.
Yeah, I have a
Like those
message
sequence.
that says, but, oh, is that you or me? The content of this meeting is being sent to a third party.
I got that too. Yeah. So,
It's now live streaming on YouTube, it says. Cool, we're doing it.
yeah. It popped up on YouTube, so I have it there. There we go.
Now, everyone who has been waiting to watch this on YouTube can now join us.
Great. I'm sure we'll have a huge audience.
Or we will. And I know Doug sent an email this morning that he was sick Sunday. Did you see, was that on there?
Yeah,
Were
I
you
saw
on?
it. Yep.
Hopefully Ed comes. I went and asked Jody if he was coming and she said, I think so. I said, well, he's the chair, so you might wanna ask
Right.
him.
Yeah.
I assume Sean's not making the drive either.
I don't think so. I haven't heard from him, but yeah, I would hope not.
With the weather, I would assume no one's here in person
Yeah.
besides our locals.
Hmm. Yeah, how is it up there?
I mean, it's snowy, a little slippery. It's winter. We just haven't had it the last couple months, so everyone's kind of. I think it's worse today than yesterday, and they did e-learning for school yesterday. Like you should
Okay.
have
Yeah. Yeah.
seen.
And it's pretty bad down here. And then I was on vacation last over the weekend, so I was in New Orleans, and so I flew back Sunday night, and the flight actually made it to Minneapolis, no problem. But then it was stuck in Minneapolis, and I just spent the night with a friend because I didn't want to try driving in that, and it took
You
three and
guys
a half hours to
are
get
on the
back
late
yesterday morning.
first.
Yeah,
Yeah, I fly out tomorrow night, so everything should be good. Better be good.
yeah, you should be good.
Morning, girl.
Morning.
Me and Carl it's on YouTube. We're live on YouTube now. I said the world has been waiting. They can now watch us live on YouTube. And Doug is sick, so he said he'll probably join on Zoom, but just be a silent partner. He doesn't think he's able to run the meeting, so we're hoping Doug shows up to run, Ed shows up to run the meeting. I know I kept you and Jim on as signers on the check too, just in case we ever couldn't get a hold of people, so at least I'll have people to sign checks. And I didn't get a North Span one yet, Carl. I sent her, is it Caitlin?
Yeah, yeah, I know. I think there was something weird on it, so I actually held it up. I'm the reason, so we'll figure that out and you want. Yeah.
We'll approve paying you, I just don't have the amount.
Sounds good. Yeah, it looked higher than it should be for weird reasons, so I was just making sure it was right.
hopefully the guys at New Range are happy with, the security guys are happy with their raise. I know Terry Olmsted was like, wow, that was a nice increase. I'm like, well, it's about time.
I think they are.
Good. You and I even got raised. Talked to Tim the other day. He even upped our pay. We're really working our way up the ladder now.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was a check in there for me or not, so I never even,
I didn't know, I didn't print
Okay.
ours yet. I should have done that.
I didn't even look.
Yeah, I didn't even think to do that yet.
He told me the other day he was going to do that. On the roads. Coming in this morning.
There's a guy in front of me and we were only going like 50, 52. They didn't seem too bad, but when I got by the hospital and stuff, you could see it looked pretty icy.
Yeah, it was sleeting when I left for work this morning. But then majority of my drive is on gravel.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to gauge.
True. Yeah, not terrible, but I go a little slower. Well, good morning.
Oh, man. It'd be a little better, we know all this. Wait, so.
I know, winter just decided to come in spring this year, that's all.
Doug Greger called me and said he's sick, so.
Yeah, he said he'll join by Zoom probably, but be a silent watcher. He said he can't, isn't up to speaking or running.
I was out shoveling yesterday, I shoveled out. And I think I overdid it, I just didn't feel good all night long. Sitting around doing good, so I didn't bother trying to shovel.
Yeah,
Just, I took the four-wheeler out of the snowbank. When I get home, I could play with that.
yeah, don't overdo it.
You know, it's not so much snow this time, it's just the wind drifted it in.
Yeah, it's windy and then it's a hard snow.
And, you know, Megan's is closed this morning, I don't think there's no cars on Main Street whatsoever.
Yeah, if Megan's isn't open there,
So, I mean. You always used to see somebody at the hair company or
yeah,
Megan's, but not today. So.
All right. Hello, everyone made it over.
Made it.
I told Betsy it was silly of me to go to White Lakes this morning. Cause I drove there. Then half an hour later, I turned around and drove back here.
Yeah, why'd you do that? Because I just came right there.
Cause I like to get out and get some mileage on the Jeep.
Morning. You doing? Not too bad. Longer I'm retired, the less I like 9 o'clock meetings.
We need to move them to like 11 o'clock, like a lunch meeting.
In the olden days, they were at 10 on Wednesday.
Oh, wow,
I
they really
complained-
changed it up.
I complained because I couldn't come. It was working.
So this is your fault.
I had a standing 10 o'clock meeting. So they moved it to 9 on Tuesdays to accommodate me, so.
Mhm.
So now we have to accommodate you again.
So I have no room to complain. I'll just be quiet.
I always make fun of my mom for the historical society. I said, who can go to a 1 o'clock meeting on a Monday? I said, we're all working, and she's like, well, it's all old people. I go, "Oh, well."
Hope they don't want any new members.
That's
That
exactly
works.
what I said. I'd join, but I'm looking at 1 o'clock. on the Monday.
Like the EBFCU supervisory committee. They meet.
Bunch of all burned out,
I think it's a-
light burned out.
Yeah, Tuesday at 10 or something.
Farm out.
And they were gonna change it to the evening to try to get new members.
And I have it through.
So they changed it to
REA.
4:30 or 5.
Well, we
1
don't
month,
have that anymore.
No new people wanted to
Oh,
come
pressure,
off.
so
So
we-
then the next meeting was in the
Put in
evening
the
again,
LED one.
and I couldn't
And
make it.
pictures
And I
are gonna
just,
have the light
so you know, I
signs.
joined this committee
It's all
because it was daytime
concentrated going
meetings and that works
straight
for
down, it
me.
doesn't.
Another
Right.
nighttime meeting does not
Right.
work for me, so if you're changing it the
Yeah.
next night,
I'm gonna have.
I'm gonna have to step down as chair of the
It just
supervisory
like it
committee.
costs more.
We meet at 10 o'clock in the morning on Tuesdays.
Right.
Because there was no new people who wanted to join.
Well, I've got the LED.
Yeah,
No,
why are we changing it if there aren't people saying, oh, I'm joining instantly rather than.
Right.
Been there 3
The
years.
good old days in Aurora, everyone was
One light
either
bulb.
retired or had a
Change
flexible
those.
job, and their regular council meetings were like
Yeah.
2 o'clock.
I don't think I've got
That'd be
any other
perfect.
things left anymore. No.
Yeah,
But it's-
so yeah, they called my bluff. I thought I'd get out of something. I was like, ooh, I can't do nighttime. You know what, we're gonna move it back to daytime for you. And they're like,
Oh,
thanks.
Great. Perfect.
She's okay, she,
Great.
maybe it's second step, really stressed her out.
Oh, that's still pretty good. Lovely roads we have. over
They
there.
paid everybody to share the road and everything.
Today, but I can't wait for.
I started.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised in fact to see the campus.
We had one
yesterday, but
this
then
Thursday.
today it was a real
Right.
rainforest.
Isn't that the way it goes?
They were.
My fire dropped 50%. 2 weeks ago, so now. And each one, or my hemoglobin dropped.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so that's not normal with chemo.
They usually go through, they've been doing it.
No, they had it up there and it stayed up there for a while.
But I'm coming off the conference and being on
They say that maybe it's a sign or something leaking. or something.
catching berry. It's all day.
Something you always wanted to hear.
Emails and putting on fires.
One thing I need is the cover.
I think the other
I
Dutch-
try, but.
And Betsy and-
That Carol? Huh? Hi, Joy. That too, yeah.
Yeah. I know, it's really spreading, just the email. It is.
How are your roads down there, Carl?
Great. I had the joy of driving back from Minneapolis yesterday morning, because I'd flown into MSP the night before. That took 3.5 hours.
I figured the new mayor will be riding plows.
Well, I think he was riding around in them the other night, so yeah. But, yeah. Hmm.
I was down in St. Cloud here a few years back and
I
And,
know, I wondered if we would have had it.
I get left to go home and I got on, right out of St. Cloud on 23 and it was foggy. Took 4 hours to get from St. Cloud, couldn't see nothing. And I think that's worse than driving in the snow, to tell you the truth.
Sure, did you see Doug can't make it today?
Mhm.
Are you
Yes.
Doug?
Yeah, Doug is.
Yeah.
And
But he is here on Zoom, but yes.
Up there.
Oh, come on now.
Yep, Doug is on
Uh-huh.
Zoom, but he's our silent
Aurora's
watcher
votes
on.
don't count unless you're.
Staying in the chair.
Yep, so I'm gonna list Doug as being present, is that like, cause he's on Zoom, should I list him as
Regal.
present, or should I leave him as that?
I'd list him as
I don't see him.
also present. And I'd put him in parentheses.
Okay, I put that he's on Zoom, but.
Zoom.
All right, I'll call the meeting in order. Roll call.
Mayor Zins,
Here,
Mayor Wycombe,
here.
Luke Hakel.
Here.
And Mayor, Chairman Kipling. I'm not sure what title we give you, sorry, I'm always like, Jody or Luke. And-
First name's fine, yeah. Worked for 44 years.
Okay. Perfect.
For staffing, do you use Lord Heikel? Is that what you're?
Is that the L?
He prefers his rapper name Lukash.
Luke Ash.
The number 2 is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on February 27th, 2024. Anybody got any changes they want to make or?
We do rely on Doug for the minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for proofing my minutes, but
I'll move approval.
Or? All in favor?
Aye.
East Range Joint Power Board Fund. Funds. Account balances there on pages 4 and 5.
and they're actually on pages 6 and 7, after 9 years, I decided to apparently reverse the order of the bills and payroll imbalances, so I apologize for listing them wrong, but
Boy, if we can't figure that out.
I would hope you should, I'll put it back to normal. Yeah, all the balances are as is, no changes or transfers. We did receive on the loan account balances, we did receive a payment from Aurora Chiropractic on March 4th. So we'll see if Carl's Bulldog efforts have made him pay the next month as well, but we did get a payment.
Carl, the enforcer, huh?
Twisted as
I guess.
Aren't originally from Evelyn, are you?
Right not.
Need a motion?
Need a motion. Make that motion.
I can support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And then we have item B is the approval of bills and payroll on pages 11 or 6 and 7 are gone, it must be on 4.
4 and 5, yeah. The only difference I said I'll probably have to provide you guys an amended copy next month, but I just estimated North spans because they weren't ready for the invoicing yet, so it probably will be different than the 5,000 I listed, so there will be a slight change, but we'll I'll amend that for the next meeting and send you guys a new copy.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll support that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Yes, dates, presentations. Dave, you're the only one?
Yeah, I guess so. I have a question, relative to a memo that was sent out by, Jeff about, probably addresses more to Jim and find out about, there've been some progress on the, court case that would have, seems to have opened up perhaps.
I just got an email today from the Rams director. I haven't read it yet,
Okay,
but, it does sound like there's some movement and.
yeah, but this
Payments.
was, okay, I'll just limit it there, because otherwise it's strictly Boavic.
I know Jeff is in contact with St. Louis County about moving that forward.
Yeah, okay.
Anybody else?
We have 2 people online here. Miriam, do you have anything you want to share?
I do. Hello, everybody. I hope you are well. So we are kicking off from the Hello Range side, we are kicking off our new Iron Ranger gatherings. I've sent these to Sean. And so our first one, once a month, we'll be hosting these at the Hibbing, Virginia, and Hoyt Lakes Public Libraries. So 3 cheers for Sue for partnering with me. And so please, 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 I sent the flyers over to Sherry and also Sean, if you could get them printed and distributed across the East Range. The first date will generally be the 4th Tuesdays. Light dinner is provided. I do ask that people RSVP, 1, so we know how many folks we're having, and 2, I want to know if there are any dietary considerations, but we will be meeting April, May, and June at the library. And then my plan is ultimately, if we get a little group, then we'll move our gatherings in the summertime to whatever's happening that month that we want to attend as a group, and that way it's a little bit of a safe way to get together. And I already have had some RSVPs for Hoyt Lakes gathering, and so I am asking you all to please make sure you spread the word. I'm looking at you, Dave. You did a great job on the Biwabic end for us last time, so thank you. Again, our first date is April 23rd, 4:30 to 6 at the Aurora Public Library. And then again, the following 4th Tuesday will be again at the Hoyt Lakes Public Library. But I think that's it. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Miriam. We have Scott Benzing from the Forest Service joining us here today. Scott, do you have anything to share with us?
Good morning, everybody. I was asked by my district ranger to attend this meeting regarding to the construction project in the city for the road. That's all.
Crystal, do you have anything?
No, nothing at this time.
All right. Thank you. I think that's everyone online here other than Doug, who's just listening in.
I think he's just listening in.
Okay, but that's who Doug is. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, staff activity reports, North Bend, it's been monthly report.
One, I just wanted to apologize for being a few minutes late. I was prepared for the weather, not for the dead battery. So first down here, we've got the business loan fund. Do you want to talk about that, Carl?
Sure. Yeah. So I've been working on the application with Sherry to apply for the $70,000 from IRRR to match the amount of money that we have in our loan fund pot. Of course, we approved the resolution to do that at the previous month's meeting, so we're going full speed ahead. I think at this point, Sherry has all the application materials. We're just kind of looking for some letters of support from the community. So I'm not sure if you've been receiving any of those, Sherry, but that's kind of really the last piece. And once we have those, we'll upload everything into the system and get that submitted. So hoping we can get those in nice and quick. I mean, there's no firm deadline here, but the sooner we can get it, the better. So hoping to get that $70,000 to double our pot to make it 140.
Yeah, if the other communities can get me theirs, I have Biwabics printed and ready to upload. I just need the other communities.
And for the marketing committee, we're meeting again today. Conversation from the last meeting. There was a strategic plan that Miriam had started and for the most part is completed. So we're going to discuss doing another strategic plan on the East Range marketing level. Also for signature events for March, we're encouraging people to go to their local community egg hunt. There's no kind of single centralized event. And we're actually looking for one for April. So if anybody knows of any larger community-wide events going on in April, let us know. Otherwise, the East Range rummage sale in May is the next thing that we're looking to support as a community-wide event. Ongoing work with Iron Range Tourism Bureau. We have a meeting set up with Avalera, which is a software company, to try to facilitate the paying of the lodging tax, which apparently is more complicated than it should be. And one, it gets paid to the local administrator that then pays it to the state, who then pays it to the ERJPB. So it goes through a lot of different hands. We're looking at a software solution as kind of a bridge to try to increase the amount of people who are paying it. So the reason why that is important and relevant here is that lodging tax money then goes to the Iron Range Tourism Bureau, which is used for marketing the area as a whole. And East Range is obviously a significant part of that. And so the more people who pay the lodging tax, the more money we have for marketing the area. In the long term, we're looking at legislative solutions to trying to get the platform providers for short-term rentals to be in charge of actually collecting the tax. So that would be when you go to an Airbnb or Vrbo, one of those kind of sites right now, the onus is on the property owner renting their property to jump through the hoops to pay the lodging tax. And what we would like to see a platform shift that puts the onus on Vrbo and Airbnb to collect it just like they do sales tax, because they are already responsible for the sales tax. That's something they have to do by law, but this tax they don't. And so it creates confusion, it creates a lack of continuity. So in the long term, that's one of the solutions that we're looking at. Also just notes on a couple of things that are relevant here, but don't necessarily fall under the contract work. Duluth St. Louis County Days, I was able to attend. If you've never been, I suggest going at least once. It's a good opportunity to meet with legislators and honestly other people from the area. It's funny, we drive down to the cities to see a bunch of rangers in the same place, but it was a good event and good support. You know, it was my first time being there, but they said it was the largest crowd that they've ever had, and that it's an event that's gained a lot of momentum over the years. And frankly, it's good to remind the legislature that we're around and that the range is important, and when we all show up, it kind of makes that known. The other, just kind of a one-off in my own time, I spoke at a climate summit at Rock Ridge. The 9th grade class was putting it on, but they had kids from 8th grade up to 12th there. And as part of my talk, I described the work that I do. And so talked about the East Range Joint Powers Board. So there's at least 100 high schoolers that know what it is now. So that, you know, trying to spread the word a little bit at a time, which is good because I feel like, you know, raising awareness in the local area of this organization, what we do is an important part of marketing, you know, not just trying to get people to spend money in businesses. And with that, for childcare, you know, right now we're kind of at a pause in the conversation. We've talked with Jeff a couple of times about where they're at. And if there is a provider in the community, and certainly if anybody knows somebody that has interest in providing daycare in the school for the full age range of children, then Jeff has said he's very willing to work with them, like they can potentially use the space. But as the school is not interested in providing care for children under 30 months. And so that's just kind of where they're at with that right now. And that brings us to the Huggins Institute, Carl.
Yeah, so just to update everyone, you know, the Housing Institute that was supposed to be this week has been thrown for a bit of a loop with the weather. We were supposed to be heading to Grand Rapids this afternoon. They have canceled all the in-person stuff. They did shift a lot of things to virtual tomorrow, so we still will be able to meet. And there's been some discussion in our East Range group about whether we should meet ourselves. That hasn't really been resolved, but we do have, I think, 4 of us here right now. So, and I think Norma Jean had indicated she was still available later this afternoon in the time we had blocked off. So I might suggest that we get together just for a little bit as a group, just to connect and make sure we're on the same page because you know, we do have to present a little bit tomorrow. So suggest 3 o'clock. if anyone has any objections, let me know. And I can send out that email right after this meeting, just so that we keep that moving. And with that, yeah, I don't have a whole lot of new stuff on the solar readiness rehab program either, and we're just tightening up some of that language. And then the resolution to apply for more funding is on the agenda later, so we can talk about that when we get there. But yeah, so we'll have more of an update after this next institute, which I think will be a good chance for us to collect as a group and make sure we're moving forward and figure out how we're rolling out this grant program. So we want to do some publicity and some work around that. So we need to do some scheduling and planning as a group for that. A couple other Neurospan notes we find up here. We did not mention at the top of this meeting, but this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube. So we succeeded in that strategic planning goal. So check there. Thanks to Sherry for helping to get that going. And if you ever are in a situation where you don't want to join the Zoom, but you just want to watch it live, or you know, residents or community members who want to watch it live, that is now an option on the Joint Powers Board's YouTube page, which exists. So pleased for that. And then also just on a personal note, I am going to be out a lot for the next month and a half, starting next week. For about 6 weeks, I will be in Duluth rarely. Just a whole bunch of things happening at once. Fun travel opportunities mostly, but I'd say Sean should be your primary contact in that time. Don't leave you in his capable hands. And then if you need anything else, Ulysses is certainly around too. So we are here to support you, but know that I might be slow to respond to things for a little while. And I think that's all we have as Roscoe.
The YouTube streaming is, if we go to the page, are we gonna find a whole lot of comments? All right, about
Links has been doing it for a year and we haven't received one comment,
okay.
so.
Yeah, I have it open in a tab here right now, and there is no one chatting us.
Thank you.
The East Range Joint Water Project, we'll turn that over to Luke.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with the East Range Water Project, that's for sure. I guess on February 28th, the Water Board hired Bolton and Mink as their construction manager for the project. We're working through some contract details right now, but they do have a proposal and they've accepted that, and that's been moving along nicely. Also, Chairman Gregor has been testifying to both the House and the Senate for lobbying for increasing the cap on the WIF funds. Currently, we're capped at $5 million. If state legislature was to increase that, we would be up at 9.5, closer to 10. Right now, that would take a big chunk out of that $7 million that we're trying to get that to cut down. So thank you to him for doing that. In addition, there was a value engineering session that took place between technical team, staff, the contractors that are on the project, and our new construction engineers. In there, we're looking to shave about $1 to $2 million off of the project, which would also help out. And I guess the focus of those things was not just to pull things out of the project, but to make things better. So if we were to receive bonding bill dollars or Army Corps dollars or the WIF increase, that we would use the monies that we saved in something else. So those discussions went very, very well. And then lastly, I guess one really good bit of news is our EPA grant was approved, which that was quite an interesting application. There's a lot of extra work going into federal funds, but when you're doing $6.5 million from the federal government, it's worth it. So now we're kind of hung up on more paperwork. You got to go through this ID.me grant process, and so we're in the home run stretch. We're approved. We just got to do some more paperwork to get the money to draw on it. So lots going on.
Next item is a housing grant resolution on page 8.
Yeah, give a little background on this. We sent some emails about this too, but a couple months ago, the Joint Powers Board did approve $10,000 of its own funding to support the housing fund that we're developing. At the time, we discussed that was sort of a placeholder, knowing that we would also be applying for the Minnesota Housing Partnership Grant, which we did get. So if the original plan here was really to just apply for the $20,000 or apply for $10,000 from IRRR to match the 10 from MHP for a total of 20. But when we talked to IRRR, about this opportunity, they said, well, why don't you apply for 20 and match it with the 10 from East Range and the 10 from Minnesota Housing? So it gives us the chance to double that available housing pot. So you're putting in an application for $20,000 for a total of $40,000 to support our housing fund, which gives it a great little amount of money to get started with. And also is something we can continue to try to match with and continue to build. So it's a great opportunity for us. And I think we had some discussion in the email that went out about how, it was not a budgeted expense, but the Joint Powers Board is in a pretty strong financial position. We've had a healthy reserve that we've not tapped into for a long time. So I think we're in a good place to put some of that to work and support a grant that really helps expand our reach. So happy to answer any questions about this. Otherwise, we will look for approval of the resolution.
Hey, Carl, I got a question for you. If I remember correctly, and looking back here, was this not a loan to the person selling their house so they could fix it up to meet the inspection that's done by the banks or whatever?
Mhm.
So then therefore, will come back immediately when the house is sold. It is
Yes.
monthly payment where they don't pay for 6 or 8 months and you gotta change them all.
That's the intention, is that it would be, essentially, the money would be paid back when the house is sold, and it would be taken out of the closing costs.
Right, so we need a. We need a.
I'll move the resolution. Even though we don't have Mayor Gregor here to,
I'll support.
We have a motion in a second to support the resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
And that brings us to the Superior National Scenic Byway Council ad request. So this is a brochure. They print 5,000 of them and distribute them in various areas, including around the East Range. There's an ad featuring the East Range Joint Powers that we paid for previously, and it's $300 to re-up the ad, and they're in the process of doing that, and essentially wanted to know if we're interested in considering this.
so we've done this before.
We've done it before. I don't have it up, but if you like,
Oh, it's okay.
I can pass around what
It just wasn't ringing any bells for me, but that's
Sure.
just me.
I think we've done it pretty regularly, yes.
We, something you wanna do? We have a motion to do it?
I'll make a motion.
A motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Sean, could you forward me a copy of the ad, and I assume they'll invoice us
Yes.
once we.
I'll ask for an actual invoice from Beth. She just sent an email essentially asking if we're going to do it again, but now that
Okay.
it's approved, it'll ask for the invoice.
Community projects updates, Aurora.
Yeah, so Aurora's updates, I guess, first thing is we'll talk about the County Highway 100. We had a public meeting, actually I should say Aurora did not, this is all being driven by the county. So it's the county's state aid highway, so they've hired KLJ to kind of run this for them to get it to design it, they call it the 2D level. So they're engaging the public. They've got a series of meetings that they're going to be hosting. The first one was an informational only. They wanted the public to show up, present what they like about it, what they don't like about it, their hate for it, their love for it, any ideas that they could have, anything and everything. They wanted to just listen. They created 3 stakeholder groups. One, of course, which was the public. They also had a meeting with the business owners in the downtown corridor. And then they also had an agency meeting, which was more along the lines of the ERJPB. They invited the county Forest Highway, Highway 11 group, just any kind of agencies that would be interested in the school district, things like that. So that was their first meeting. Their second one will be in June. And at that point, they're gonna present alternatives. And what I mean by that is the main intersection that everybody knows with the four-way stop, they'll have 3 or 4 alternatives for that. We'll have a few alternatives for the railroad crossing. We'll have some alternatives for coming into town. And then people can put input on the alternatives that they'd like, that will be there. And then the last one will be in December, October-ish, somewhere in there. And that'll be, this is what you're getting. Their idea is to bid this out in 2025. They'll design it all next year. And then they'll bid it out and it'll be done in one construction season in 2026. They actually talked about a bridge that over the railroad. They said, this is a huge asterisk, but as an example, they're looking at everything, including a bridge over the tracks, just because to detour the tracks, it's 20 miles. And they know that there's been one there in the past. So why they remove it? What could they do to make it better? Does it work? So just something that they're going to look at as well. So their eyes are wide open on the project. It was a very good turnout. They knocked it out of the park. So look for the second public meeting to be held sometime in June, July. We also have an industrial park public engagement meeting. That's April 4th at the community center. They're looking for ideas on what they'd like to see out there and anything and everything from recreation to what kind of business they'd like to see in there. Or what would you like to see with the other lots that are done? The city purchased Keith Johnson's property, which is right next to the old Blue Cross Blue Shield building. So there's nothing there. The Mesabi Trail is going to run through there. So they just mountain biking, anything, they're just looking for ideas from the public. So they're having an open house April 4th at the community center.
What time is it?
4:30 to 6:30. And then I guess the other thing is we hired Magni as our construction manager at risk for the wastewater treatment plant. We did that March 7th. So we'll be working ahead on that. And again, that's for mercury reduction, similar to what the Lakes did at their wastewater treatment facility. And that's all I have for right now.
Did the mayor proud?
Oof, it's tough to. Hopefully so.
The pressure's always on from Aurora. I actually wrote notes. To the best of our knowledge, MnDOT is still planning on starting in mid to late June. Whatever they're going to do to Main Street, they've been a little bit circumspect about exactly what their fix is. Keeping that close to the chest so far. They have assured, I think, did you get that directly, Jeff, that it would not impact 4th of July? Right. So we make of that what you will.
Does that mean it'll be done by then, or they're not gonna look at it till after?
Make of that what you will. We had a little interesting turn of events. So we've got an area near the adjoining Voyagers retreat that's called the Narrows that is seeing some potential construction on most, if not all, the lots in that small area. But we discovered that somehow they got overlooked during the original Voyagers retreat build in terms of their sewer. And there's some owners, Jeff's gonna correct anything that I get wrong too. There's been some owners really pressing to start construction, but they don't want to start construction without actual sewer and not have to do the alternatives. Nobody wants to.
Yeah, construct their own system.
And we're not real keen on having them within the city limits as well. So we've been doing a little scrambling, meeting with Representative Lizagard, meeting with IRRB staff, and then having a phone call with Representative Lizagard again on Friday. Trying to get this in the works. It's probably between $350,000 and $400,000. Our public, the water and sewer, electricity are done by the Pewabic Public Utilities Commission, and they really have zero capacity for that kind of expense right now. They're pretty well tapped, and so we're looking for a legislative fix and seeing how the rest of the session plays out. It was sort of a last minute thing, which we didn't really have any control over, so we'll see how that goes. We did get Army Corps of Engineer or we got the federal funds, the congressionally directed funding for part of phase 6 of our reconstruction in the city of Wawatic. The Army Corps was a little bit slow on turning around some of the process on their end. So it really looks unlikely that any construction on that will take place in 2024. The earliest they could bid was probably August or something like that, and that's not going to be ideal either for construction or for bidding competitive bids. So we're probably looking at next year. The council did go ahead and have all the boulevard trees removed on 5th Avenue North. Just as a precursor, we wanted to make sure that we got the trees removed ahead of the bat season, which I think starts April 1st. So, and the contractor, I think, went through there in less than 2 days. They really moved. So now we have a very bare 5th Avenue as well. What we discovered with tree removal during the other phases of the reconstruction is that there are homeowners who have asked us not to replace their trees. They've decided they actually like, that's not everybody, but there are homeowners who like the minimalist look with nothing in front and nothing to mow around. We did let bids for the campground with our LCCMR dollars. I haven't seen any kind of construction schedule. Wasn't it, they had to be done before August?
Yes. And there's a pre-construction scheduled for April 10th.
And Jeff is submitting another round of LCCMR grant application for the remaining work that needs to be done and the funding that was not included with the original application, because like all the other applicants for LCCMR funds, I think they only did a percentage of what the original ask was. If we'd gotten the full funding, we probably wouldn't be going through the second process, but that's the way it goes. Senator Farnsworth did submit a bonding bill for $1 million in planning for a public safety building. We'll see where that goes again in the bonding session. We've been warned, as I'm sure the other communities have been, that public safety doesn't have the cachet in this bonding session that it did in previous sessions. Now it's all about water and sewer. So that the water and sewer projects will get the most attention from the bonding bill. Jeff has applied for a League of Minnesota Cities Grant Navigator grant for our Western Annex project to see if we could bring on a grant writer to help with navigating all the different potential funding sources for that. And we are working with St. Louis County, pending what's happening with the Supreme Court case and the apparent, I think, settlement or whatever. I haven't read the article yet that the Rams director sent out late last night, but it seems like it's time to move forward, and we'll see what the legislature does. But the school lots in Wawatic were tax forfeit not in possession by the county, or the county is taking care of them, and so we're going to try and nudge them into move forward with the divesting of those particular lots. So we'll see how that process goes. I missed anything really highlighted, Jeff?
Strategic planning, morning.
Yeah.
Jim, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So it goes back to the recent memo that Jeff put out about there's now some more interest, or always been interest in the railhead in Wawatic. So on a larger picture here that perhaps might bolster the project from a developer or industry is to see whether the project in Wawatic, the depot area can be enhanced or be part of what you're planning in here as a transportation hub for stuff that could come in that a prospective company could put in one of those buildings. I understand that the large building, they're looking for one occupant. So one would presume that's gonna be a fairly large, and whether that's trucking or whether the materials come in or the materials go out, that can enhance Boabic's railhead. I don't know if that conversation has been going on between the two cities.
I can't speak for the administrators. No, our conversation last week was with the IRRB. Asking them, it's been on their plate in the past as a development opportunity. And we just, we're understanding that there's gonna be some significant turnover at the agency in the next several months. And we wanted to make sure that it was on the commissioner's radar that we do have that unique opportunity that isn't necessarily available in nearby communities. And you guys are working closely with the IRRB on your industrial park, so I think there's.
I guess I'm looking at the synergy between the two.
That's why we wanted to make sure that it was on the, back in the sites of the IRRB. I don't know that they ever forgot about it, but we just wanted to make sure we reminded the new commissioner that we have that special opportunity.
Yeah, we're just getting to the part in design now, with the industrial park building where it's going to start getting bid out for building it. They do want one occupant at 30,000 and they're planning on expanding it to 100,000. So that's what they're looking for, is one person who wants that 30,000 square feet that can build up to 100,000 square feet. And they're gonna put the footings in and whatnot, so they're putting the knockouts in and everything, so it's ready to go up to 100,000. The IRRB is exclusively doing the marketing for that, so they're in charge of getting the occupant and whatnot, so we really would have to run through them. We're just kind of on the same page where with this site, because it's so big, that this is our kind of a big one, or our corner store, you know, if you had a mall, like Sears or JCPenney, they're big occupant, so any common synergies with any other local municipalities would be welcome, for sure.
It's good to have the IRRB working on both sides.
Okay.
That's all I've got with this, Jeff. Anything else?
David? I think Bolton and Mink are looking at the water treatment facility, going through the building and the facility to see what needs to be done or will need to be done in upcoming years. And we'll be coming back with a report on that. What else? In the process of hiring an assistant for City Hall. Becky,
Well, Public Works isn't busy enough. I just got a phone call. There's a main break behind the Southern Marketplace, so that's really fun. Yeah, the other things I'm working on is the sergeant hiring for the Eastern PD, running that for Tim, and then grants for the Ranger Club is always there. They're a driving force in our community, so administering their $3 million worth of grants is always fun.
In the township, you know, we took advantage of the nice weather we had in February. And we went out and mowed all the ditches and the brush back from the sides of the road, which is good. Now I've got a place for the snow to go. And now they're chasing snow, but things are going along well. We were planning our strategic plan meeting with all of our employees. And getting that finalized, and now it's kind of been put on hold because of other complications. And Jody's been going to lots of training lately, so what else you been doing, Jody?
Well, we have ads out for summer laborers, so we're advertising for 2 of those, and we filled our heavy equipment operator position. Hired Sam Nelson, who lives in the community and was a former student laborer, so it's always good to see that come full circle, so.
Is that Keith's son?
Steve's.
Steve's son.
So you're at full staff on that now?
Yes, we're back to full staff. Especially with this weather.
And we did get a kick, or some feedback from our building survey, but we have not sat down and had a real good discussion on it. We'll see what we're trying to do with that.
Right.
Everything costs a bundle, you know.
Yeah, we hired Wold Incorporated, the city of Aurora hired them also, so they did a walkthrough of all of our facilities. And came up with cost estimates on what it would cost to get the buildings up to today's standards, ADA compliance, safety things. Yeah, there wasn't a really cheap building, everything's $4 million or more, no matter which one we were looking at. So,
To do nothing for this, just to increase, just to get it up to ADA, to do nothing is like 3.5, 4 million just for this building.
mhm.
That's not making.
For this building?
Yes.
So the board has some decisions to make, priority wise, which building you wanna pick first.
Yeah. So we are meeting, the town and Aurora are meeting tomorrow, just to kind of start talking about those stuff. See if we can put our heads together and figure something out.
Other than that,
Yeah.
life goes on, I guess. Any other business we want to bring up?
Churches are closing on Easter.
I saw that in these ring.
Well, that was kind of a huge disappointment to lose the church. And especially, when I personally attended the meetings, I know Dave was at some. It was not a financial issue. It was, more, well, they said it was older people, and I beg to differ with you, but Aurora has a lot of older people than White Lakes does. And Aurora's building needs lots of maintenance. That, I thought the original thing was like 1.2 million. White Lakes is there, it's built. It's not, doesn't need any maintenance, there was no reason to close it, and according to an accountant, within 2 years. Within 2 years, they could pay to build a new house for the priest, if that's, they didn't have a house in White Lakes for the priest. It'd take them 2 years to pay for the cost of it on the money they'd save because of utilities in Aurora are almost 30 grand a year versus 10,000 in White Lakes. So, you know, they
So
said
why the utility difference there? Because of the efficiency of the building?
the efficiency of the building, the boilers are shot. The kitchen needs to be upgraded because it's not handicapped or whatever. It doesn't meet the codes. You know, the priest always lived in by Wabick. They spent $48,000 remodeling the place in by Wabick for him to stay there 2 days a week. And other than that, he lived in Duluth. And they never wanted to live in Aurora because they want their privacy. And that's not uncommon because Holy Spirit in Virginia did the same thing. They had to buy the priest a house when they closed the other two to live in. He doesn't live at the church like he used to. So, you know, it's just, it's a sad day of affairs, and I got a sneaking suspicion that the large percentage of the Biwabic parishioners will go to Gilbert. They aren't gonna stay in Biwabic. And I don't know what's gonna happen with the White Lakes ones because there's elderly people there that are the ones that are coming. It isn't usually the young kids and stuff. I don't know if they're gonna still continue to attend and come. And this might be an albatross for the city, for the Aurora Church. It could mean the end of them too. But you never know. You never know what's gonna happen or what's gonna come out. But I thought it wasn't put to the people. Do you understand that? At the meetings, the decision was made before they had the meeting. And when you ask them a question, they refuse to answer. So
it was made by the
it's
council?
made by the council, 2 from Biwabic, 2 from Aurora, and 2 from White Lakes. And Biwabic council voted against it. Aurora voted for it. And the White Lakes ones, you know, folded like a cheap card table and went along with them. Rather than looking at the facts, so.
I think it presents at some point, because we have that 1-year interim before the diocese basically gives it up as a church. You know, after 1 year, unless something happens in between where perhaps another church of a different denomination comes in and decides to take it over, but there's a process that you have to do with the Catholic churches and so forth, I won't go into it. But after that, you know, nothing comes forward from a religious standpoint. It becomes something that the city's gonna have to pay attention to, and I would say sooner than later, start looking for usage for those buildings. We don't want, I mean, I'm speaking of Wabac, I can speak about other communities. I've been involved in the Gilbert School demolition thing and trying to save it. It's just, you know, we've lost schools, we're losing churches and so forth. It tears the heart out of a community. So we can't, just because we're a governmental function, we have to look at something that's going to impact the community in a year or so.
We saw what happened to the Bose School. They sold it for next to nothing, the school did, to a developer, and it's been trashed, and now they're looking at how many hundreds of thousands of dollars to demo the place, you know. The demo, when they didn't do anything with it when they had the chance. And if you leave these buildings go dead for any type of period of time, they're junk. You know, they're junk. You know, it's like closing a restaurant. If you close a restaurant and the new owner comes in, they have to redo everything. You know, if you sell it outright while it's still in operation, they're off the hook. So, you know, they can continue on the way it was run. So it's gonna be, I think it's a terrible tragedy that it's going close, and I think it's gonna hurt the people of White Lakes. And then to cap it all off, our illustrious bishop canceled the mass that was on TV. He said we can spend the money better elsewhere. Well, that used to be a lifeline. In fact, personally, it was a lifeline for me when I was so sick for over a year. And it's a lifeline for a lot of people, but it's not there anymore because he can spend the money better else. And maybe it's for paying his 34 servants he has working for him down at Duluth, you know, diocese.
So they don't have a televised or like a streamcast
Not
service?
No. Yeah, if you're smart enough to run the computer, Holy Spirit does.
Okay.
But I don't know how, if you want to get into streaming, it isn't free, something else is gonna cost you something. But whatever, it's a tragedy that it went down. I think it'll end up hurting White Lakes more than anything else. I think it's gonna be a kind of a stab in the back to them. Town of 2,000 people and no church. Town of 1,600 people, and you have a church in town that can't support itself. It never has. That's why they clustered them in the first place, so they could get control of the funds, and so they could direct them to a lower. You know, so I mean, it's sad. Plus, one more thing, and I'm gonna quit. Plus, there's no parking in Aurora. It's only on-street parking, and when they had a meeting at the church, with their calendar parking stuff. At one time, the sheriff's office was here, and we went up and ticketed all the cars that were on the wrong side of the street, which caused a riot. The school, you can't park in the school during the week because the lot is full. Okay, you have a funeral up there, you might have to park 2 blocks away and walk, and these people are elderly. They don't do that anymore, you know? They can't function that way, and it is really. And plus, the school was interested in it. For anybody who wants to know, the superintendent was interested in it for his daycare. Okay, he thought it would be a perfect option for their daycare to get it out of the school, get it away from the school, and then it would be by itself, and you could have those little kids versus, you know, those babies versus the older ones. So, but none of that came into play. And it's really a tragedy, so. But can't change that, I guess, so.
Did I hear you correctly? You're saying White Lakes doesn't have any churches?
Doesn't have a Catholic church. They have a Methodist church that has 8 families in it and it's still open. And they have a Lutheran church, I don't know how many are in there. The Episcopal church left 20 years ago. But that's all it's on. So. It's unfortunate.
All these churches are going through these. I mean, the community church in Wabac, if it didn't have pasties, and their pastor basically is limited the amount of time that he's coming to Boavic. It used to be every Sunday, and now I think it's maybe once or twice a month. You know, the trend is not going the right way.
No. And you saw it on the payload too, I heard that, St. Mark's and the Congregational Church owner are sharing a minister, and it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
But it was not financial, because we asked, how much would it take to make this thing work? They would not answer the questions, so, you know.
Jeff is sitting there waiting for me to start in on the selection of where the high school went. And how Boavic got screwed on that, so
Yeah.
How much time do we have?
yeah. I won't do that, it's not germane to the agenda. I feel the pain because I've seen it before.
No, so you lost your school, you lost your church, White Lakes lost their school, they lost their church. You know. What do? You know, and you try to attract people to live up there. You know, you just saw, I don't know, people read the newspaper on her, but Cargill wanted to buy up those lots down in Park Point and build some fancy homes down there for their families and the stuff to come up there. And Duluth bought it, they don't want it done. You know, that's a huge tax base for those high-end homes to be down there along the lake and stuff, but they didn't want to do it. So they said there's other towns that would like to have us.
Bergen can build their homes in here.
And especially on water, there's gonna be more and more moves like that, as companies from the coast look for places in the Midwest to put executives and people that want to treat nice.
You know, you expect these big companies to help you out, well. You know, you saw what, was it Tyson Meats did to Iowa, they moved them all to New York, you know. Close out that business, I mean, it's just strange what's going on. So, but. All right, no other business, next meeting, Tuesday, the 23rd, 9 AM, City Town Government Center. And a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Support.
Sean, I won't be able to attend the next meeting.
There was, back in like, there's actually a picture downstairs of it, about our little.
Sherry.
Back to 60. Oh,
Yeah.
I heard back about what.
So if you walk downstairs.
Wondering who's gonna be there. It's gonna be you and another.